All right, you guys ready? You guys have a piece of paper and a pen? Okay, cool. We're going to go rapid fire. You're going to think a lot. And this is one of my favorite classes to reteach. So, how many people are on Zoom? 5, 3? You can tell me. Awesome. Oh, okay, cool. So, hi Meredith. Hi Raj. Hi Raquel, sorry. Hi Rodrigo. Wow, Rodrigo came out of the woodwork. What's up, Meredith? What's up, Sabrina? Good. Lots of different people. And what's up, Jordan? What's up, Kathy Moore? Kathy Moore, you should be here. All right, so here's what I'd like you guys to do. Raise your hand if you guys did any goal planning this year. You wrote down your goals. We got three. They're kind of like, yeah. Hold on. Have I met you before? Yeah, you serve in the military. You guys met each other. Okay, good. Am I remembering correctly? All right, do I see you like once a year? Yeah? All right, cool. Good memory for once a year. All right, so here's what I want you guys to do. You can't measure what you don't track, okay? So this last weekend for the 4th of July, thanks for your service. Anyone serve in the military? Okay, good. So very interesting case study. I was talking to a lady who has a PhD in economics, okay? She's 65 years young. PhD in economics, I would say, is well educated. Would you guys agree with that? Doctor in econ. Okay, she is going to get $3,000 a month in retirement. That's not a lot of money for having a 65 years old economics degree with a PhD. So we went over this with her, and I'm like, hey, 40 years ago, do you think, knowing what you know now, did you plan enough? She's like, absolutely not. Well, let's talk about this. So this was literally yesterday. She's like, I just didn't think retirement would come quickly. Like, I didn't think it would really happen, right? 20 years later, 30 years later, 40 years later, she's now 65. And she's like, I don't really have a lot to live on. Okay, so what I want to do with this, there's 3 things. Number 1 is you're going to update whatever goals you wrote down for 2021. Number 2, if you haven't written down any goals, we're going to reestablish what to do for this year. And then number 3, I'm going to give you guys an example of what I've already done in June and what decisions I've made, so you guys can get an idea of like what I do with different planning. So this class is called You Can't Measure What You Don't Track. Okay. So a little bit about me. For those virtually that can hear me, and for here in the office, thank you for the fan. I love fans. So real estate investing is a CYA. That means cover your assets, right? You can make a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money, but I think that I want to give you guys correct principles. You can govern yourselves. That sounds like a good ecclesiastical quote. This is a photo of my family. This is my mom. She passed last year on my birthday. I think it's very impactful. It literally helped course correct what's important for me in life. I'm way more conscientious with how I choose to spend my time. I'm way less work motivated as far as monetarily, way more quality of time, more intentional with how I choose to spend my time. I think that's important to reflect on, life, right? Life's precious. A friend of mine died a week and a half ago from stage 4 cancer. I went to his funeral on Thursday. Kristen went there too. And he actually spoke at the UV-RIA meeting earlier this year. And his topic was from cancer to cash flow king. And the cancer took the best of them shortly after. But I think just is really impactful of like being more intentional with our life, right? So I love these examples on here because this is like my jam. I love sports. I have season tickets to the Utah Jazz. I have season tickets to Real Salt Lake that are suspended. I need to get them reactivated. I paid for them. Yep, you're right, reactivate them. I love going to football games. I love going to the World Series. I just love having experience. The second thing is Amsterdam. I love to travel. I literally just booked a trip to go to Mexico in 2 weeks on Friday because I can, right? I have an awesome team, but I work really, really hard and can have intentional experiences, which hopefully those are important to you. You guys love Yoda or Grogu. I freaking love Star Wars. If I can figure out a way to make as much money as I do now in Star Wars as real estate investing, I will not teach any more classes and I'll just figure out how to do that, but haven't done that one yet. always be learning, ABL. I'm always taking the time to learn and study. This weekend, I'm going to watch a Tony Robbins Business Mastery virtual event. It's going to be about 30 hours. Some of my team members are going to be watching it. I just always want to get better. I study every morning. I meditate every morning. The other thing I need to do is just work out every morning, and I think I have a lot of good fulfillment. So why I'm sharing. First question, if you guys want to write this down. What would you consider is having a successful life? So there's my first question. What would you consider is having a successful life? You're going to write down questions too? It's the whole point of being here. What would you consider, if you guys, I'm going to take 30 seconds. I'm going to let it, or a minute, just write down all the things you think helps quantify having a successful life. Okay? Because that's different to everyone. Do you want me to unmute this, Dominic? No. So the question virtually is, what would you guys determine is helping you have a successful life, right? So you're going to write down, what does that mean to you? Having a successful life is definitely having, thank you. Okay, Dan, what did you write down? What constitutes having a successful life in your opinion?
Happily married until myself.
Happily married until yourself or your wife dies? Okay, good.
Great relationship with my kids.
Great relationship with your kids. Okay, what else?
Money to be able to travel, house paid off.
Okay, cool.
Part of mine was education.
Cool. Good. Okay. Cool. So I think I heard 4 things. If you guys want to, number 1 is relationship with his significant other. Big thing, right? You guys are both alive. The second thing is having an outstanding relationship with your children, right? You gave a lot of examples, experiences, college for them, education, vacation. The third thing that I got out of it is having money to have experiences. And then the fourth thing, and plus developing yourself. And then the fourth thing is being here. Does that sound fair? Yeah. Okay. Earning and health. Learning. Okay. Good. Okay. Yep. I would agree. Cool. So let's pick a couple of things of those just for fun. So there's a guy named Garrett White. He says core 4 before you hit the door. He focuses on body balance, being in business, and he focuses on coaching married business owners. So if you're a married business owner, he is an excellent coach for you. I did coaching with him in 2015. He was also my college roommate, ironically, like in 2000, long time ago. But there's 2 frameworks with that I think is important. You can't measure what you don't track, right? So back to my photo with my mom. My mom was amazing person, not very healthy, okay? Poor eating habits, poor exercise habits. She had diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, multiple strokes, kidney failure, like just did not take care of herself, okay? And as I reflect on that, like I know, like I'm drinking a green smoothie. Yum, right? Like there's just certain things that are better than doing other things, right? So I've definitely seen those benefits with that. So Tony Robbins teaches about the wheel of life, and 2 of you guys, 3, 4 have gone. Okay. Somebody share this framework real quick. If you guys want to write this down. The first one is called physical body. Okay. So you want to write down physical body. The second one is emotions and meanings. Second one is emotions and meanings. The third one is relationships. Third one is relationships. The fourth one is time. Okay, the fourth one is time. The fifth one is work, career, and mission, right? Like your work, career, or mission. The sixth one is finances. And the seventh one is contribution and celebration. So he has us do this exercise at Unleash the Power Within. I've gone like 3 times, and I'm going again in the fall because I just need to go to get better, right? But he has you go through this exercise and you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And why I think it's important right now is like we had the 4th of July, right? Like what a great reflection of mid-year review. But I think like that's a good case study of like where do you fall in line with yourself. So what I'd like you guys to do, you're not going to share it with me right now, but I want you to share it with someone else. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself on those items, right? So no one's a 0 because you're alive, right? So you could have 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest, right? This on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself? So I'll say it one more time. Number 1 is physical health, physical body. Number 2 is emotions and meetings. Number 3 is relationships. Number 4 is time. Number 5 is work, career, mission. Number 6 is finances. And number 7 is contribution or celebration. So like contribution and celebration, a lot of times people, they share success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Like you can be successful. There's also a comment that says the art of fulfillment, the science of achievement, but the art of fulfillment, right? Like a lot of times we in America, we just want more and more and more and more and more and more. But if you go to like a different part of the United States or a different part of the world, like they're just freaking happy all the time. I don't know. Has anyone ever traveled internationally outside of the US? Like, man, I've gone lots of places. They're just like happy, right? Like it's happy that we're there. So I think there's a good framework to think about that. So as we think about that, I just want you to rate 1 through 10 of where you think you are. And I think this is a great reflection to look at every year. Like I'm not a life coach. I'm into mortgages and real estate investing, but I definitely have a pretty fulfilled life that I can help other people with, right? So I think this is like when I do mid-year reviews, I literally review where am I at with my life and what do I want to get better at? Like that's what I've done in June and in the month of July. And I think the 4th of July is an awesome time with that. Okay. So with that, this is my background. Basically just says I'm a qualified person to talk to you guys. All right, next. Okay. So let's focus on this. What did you guys accomplish already in 2021? And I'm going to have you guys take 5 minutes and write down all the things that you've actually accomplished in 2021. And if this was a paid event that I teach in January, we spent about 20 or 30 minutes just literally stacking in a positive way all the good things that have accomplished. So I'm timing myself. We're going to take 3 minutes. It's just going to be quiet. You're going to write down as many things that you can think of you have accomplished this year, because that will help us in the future. So we got Beatrice and Dominic and George and Kathy, and we got a bunch of people on here. I'm going to have you guys type in here. Kathy, Lisa, Maria, Meredith, Michael, Pule, Rodrigo, Sean, Sonny. What's up, Sonny? I just want to see, yeah, awesome. You guys type in what are things that you guys have already accomplished this year and write down as many as you can, because this will help us understand what's important to you. Keep sharing, people on Zoom land. We're going to do another 90 seconds. Write down all the things that you've already accomplished this year. Keep going, guys. I'm watching what you're writing. This is awesome. Do another 30 seconds. I'm going to share, while you guys are here local, I'm going to share what people wrote down in the chat. It's awesome because this will give you guys an idea of what you've accomplished, okay? So Carolyn said, happy family, good health, spiritual growth, contribution to the society. Maria said, investing and learning. Sabrina said, hit half my sales goal while still taking a healthy life balance, investing in my future retirement goal. Kathy Moore, in business, I've written 6 new classes, with stats being the class I'm the most proud of. And my personal, I've traveled to see my kids in Dallas, gone to Napa in May, and I've booked 4 more trips. Awesome. Melanie, got promoted at work, educated myself in real estate, bought my first home at 21. That's impressive. Sold my first home, made a profit, started the process of buying a second home, building a better relationship with my parents. Bruce, sold 1 rental, bought 2 rentals, updated another rental, some traveling, relationships building with my wife. Raj, increases my assets, set emergency funds, decreased the carbs consumption, involved more in my church activities. Beatrice, started attending RIAs, attended our first bus tour, filled out my first rep sheet, took our kids camping and fishing, bought our son his first car for $500. Dude, where'd you buy a car for $500? Mexico? Kathy, I love that one. I've taken 4 course classes in the financial planning and joined Slaria. Awesome. Michael Hagan, visited parents in Wyoming, planned a Hawaii trip to January 2022, purchased my first and second investment properties, closed on 11 homes so far. That's awesome. Sean, more time off my sons, working on adding bigger home addition, added apartment, finishing touches to build my car. Jordan Hagen's got a few deals under contract for my clients, learned a bit about commercial deals, committed to dive into more investing. Beatrice, reading more and learning daily. Lisa, commercial space just today. KSL. Okay, people are making progress, right? Here's the cool thing. COVID, a good question is, what did you learn from COVID last year? You guys want to write down that question? So last year, when this has a lot to do with, you can't measure what you don't track. So last year I was at a Tony Robbins spiritual event, and he asked the question at the beginning of the 5 days. He's like, what gifts did you learn from COVID? COVID taught a lot of stuff, right? We learned how to be more calm. We don't need to be working all the time. We learned how to spend more time probably with our family. We learned how to figure out how to be entertained in our backyards, right? Like different things like that. I got a membership, or I went to Lagoon like 13 times with my kids. I got involved coaching my kids' baseball team. That was the most business we'd done ever, was last year during COVID, learning that work remotely. There's a lot of different things, right, that we can learn. So when I share this with you, I like to share like what's important to me. Obviously, everyone has different goals. So if you guys have seen, I've been talking about a pool for a long time. Okay, so I'm currently a pool. What does the pool do? It's getting recorded. What does a pool do for your value? Not much. You're going to spend $200,000 when it's all said and done, and you're maybe going to get $20,000 on an appraisal. That's way cheaper than getting divorced. Okay, so that's a really good investment for a quality of life, right? And memories with my kids. Oh, you're divorced, huh? You're like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Better. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I know what he's talking about too. All right. So here's a cool example. So 7 years ago, there's a saying, God's delays are not God's denials. Like that one? God's delays are not God's denials. Like we always want it faster and cheaper and bigger, whatever, right? But, it just happens the way it's supposed to happen. So about 7 years ago, I got architectural plans for a pool contractor to put a pool in my house. And out the door, it cost about 80 grand, okay? And I had the money back then. I just was like, I don't really want to put a pool in yet. My oldest son, who's 10, was maybe only 2, okay? My other son probably wasn't born yet. And I just like, I don't need a pool. So 3 or 4 years later, hey, are you going to put a pool in? When are you going to put a pool in? I'm like, gosh, quit asking about the freaking pool. Like 2019, I'm like, I'm going to put the pool in 2020. Like I made the mental commitment. I'm going to sell a property so I don't have to dip into savings. And it's not going to be a big deal that I've got the assets to do it. So we get the pool contracting bids. And literally they stake our house, like they get blue stakes and they draw lines in the grass. They're like, all right, we're going to start this project. Boom, COVID happened, March 8th. What happened March 8th? The government starts shutting down, right? Italy shuts down. 3 days later, I go to Sloria that night. I'm not sure if Dominic was there or not, but we're talking about Rudy Gobert getting the coronavirus because he's touching the microphones like, oh, I got coronavirus. The NBA all shuts down the next day because I had season tickets to the Jazz and we were going to go to the game in like the next day or two. Shuts down. What happens the following weekend? I go to lunch with 3 of my friends because they're like, literally, we're shutting down. We're like, whoa, what's this like? We're like, hey, if we shut down, how do we need to pivot as investors? So basically, like 2 of the 4 largest hard money lenders in the state, I'm one of them. We go to lunch. We go chat. What are we going to do to protect ourselves? We made adjustments. We kind of like had like, this is what we're going to do. We made the decisions and we protected ourselves and the investors' money. And what happened with the real estate market? It kept going up. What did we thought it would do? Kept going down. Or we thought it'd stabilize and go down. Well, there's 3 things that changed to prevent that. Number 1, the government printed money quickly, right? Like super quick. The PPP money, the stimulus package, that went really fast, right? Number 2, so who got the benefits? The big banks, because they had liquidity challenges. Number 2, they worked out loan forbearances immediately, like within 45 days, where last time you missed a payment, the short sale department couldn't talk to the loan modification department because they weren't built that way, and then you had a bunch of foreclosures. What was the third thing that happened? They printed more PPP money like 45 days later, right? So their interest rates went low. Everyone's trying to refinance to like not focus on things. So what does this mean with the pool? Everything. I chose not to put because I'm like, I need more cash. Like I didn't know what's happened. We've had moratorium on rents for, Kristen, how long? Okay, we've had moratorium on collecting rents. Have we had any tenant live for free for a year? We had 1 tenant live for free for 8 months. If I've, at the time, 93 rental properties and all 93 people chose not to pay rent, I really wasn't equipped for that for more than probably 3 months of payments, but I made decisions quickly that I need to get more cash.
But we did use government money to pay that back once it was approved. So
either way, we utilized what was available because we're smart, right? But I still pivoted differently and I built up more assets because I'm like, I don't want to take over a decade of what I built go down 6 months, right? Like that's just not fiscally smart. So
Factor.
our vacancy factor was like 1%. Great question. So it's important to have a really experienced property management company. Here's the pool, okay? So we're gonna put the pool in, and my kids, you watched a lot of YouTube, right? During COVID. This TV was more of an option than ever. So we're looking at pools, and for some reason we're like, let's just check out exotic pools. And this is a photo, and my oldest son Matthew and I look like that pool is sick. It's red, it's big, it's totally match style, right? Like it just stands out. And my son's like, Dad, I love that pool. My wife's like, that pool's freaking ugly. I'm like, that doesn't matter. I'm paid for it. So the point that I've shared with other people. So here's the status with our house, right? So what are we doing? This is the status of the pool. Do I wish it went a little bit faster? Yeah. But like, am I mad? No, right? Like it's just part of the progress. My kids go in there and play, and they're going to have experiences saying, do you remember when we played in the pool and there's a bunch of wrought iron and like different stuff like that? That's what's important with goals, right? So here's a good example with goals. You need to write out action items to get your goals. So I'm going to give you a quick syntax framework that what I do every time I set out goals and why this is important mid-year review. Number one, you write out what is the goal that you want to accomplish. So that's considered your what. What do you want to accomplish? And you want to be as specific as possible for that goal. Okay, so I want everyone to write down a goal for themselves. All of you guys on here, the 25 people on here, write down one goal that you want to accomplish, and let's pick in the next 90 days. Okay, we're gonna do a 90-day goal that you want to do, that you want to personally accomplish. You want to make it as specific as possible. Not like I just want to make $50,000. That's too vague, right? I want to make $50,000 by this date in this industry by doing X, Y, and Z. I'm just giving you an example of what that looks like, okay? The next thing is why. Why do you want to accomplish that goal? So if you're like, I want to make $50,000, why? Because I want to invest in a Roth IRA of $6,000. I want to go on to Hawaii for $5,000. That gives me $29,000 each. Then I want to buy one investment property in Indiana. I'm just picking examples of what's your why, right? You're like, just because it sounds good, that's too vague. You're not going to have a lot of teeth or anchoring, okay? Next part is how. You want to write as many action items as possible to help you accomplish that. And then ideally, you want to pick your top 3, okay? So I'm going to let you guys write down a goal. All of you guys virtually, all of you guys on here, Kathy, Maria, Poulet, Sean, you're all going to write this down is what is the goal that you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? Why do you want to accomplish that goal? And you're going to write as many action items as you can. And then we're going to pick the top 3 to help you get there, okay? So go ahead and write those down now, please. Do another 15 seconds of a goal that you would like to accomplish. All right, so Carolyn, what she wants, irrigation system in the duplex. Why? To ensure that the property is better cared for. Cool. So what would be your action items, Carolyn, to help accomplish that you get those irrigation system, okay? Kathy, I want to invest in an IRA, go to Napa with my friends, go to the Monterey Jazz Festival in September. Awesome. Now, Kathy, of those goals, those are 3 different ones. Sounds like you like to drink a lot. Okay, that's okay. So get an IRA, go to Napa, and then go to a Monterey. Of those 3, pick which one you want to do in the next 90 days. So then we have a course correction to help you get there. Meredith wants to buy an investment property, either wholesale or cash flow. Use that money to buy another investment property. Meredith, how much money do you want to buy or make from that assignment? Lisa, complete residential income totally to complete residual income total $10,000 a month to cover monthly living expenses. That's a great goal. Why do you want that? Kathy, I need $10,000 to do that. Why do you need $10,000 to do that? Maria, have my own business that don't require much attention. Who wouldn't love that? Carolyn, find a contractor, save money to do it. Cool. All right, Michael, sell first investment property, remodel current home with profit so we can rent the current home, buy the next one, which will be a next rental. Cool. Does that give you guys examples? So here's what I want you guys to finalize though. Actually write out what do you want, why, and 3 action items real quick. If you wrote down more than 3, identify your top 3. Like literally put a 1, 2, and 3 right next to it, okay? Because what that's going to do is gives you clarity. They're like, cool, I listened to this guy for 2 hours. Well, what's the biggest thing? You literally have a goal that you want to accomplish in the next 90 days. And when you accomplish it, this was totally worth your time. You're literally learning how to set and achieve your goals or outcomes in life that we're just doing a 90-day goal. And I did the same thing with putting the pool in my house. I identified what did I want? I wanted a pool, 20 by 40 in the backyard. Why? Spend more time with my kids and have experiences and stay married, right? That's a good motivating factor, stay married. Okay, what are the 3 action items? Number 1, I sold a rental property for $150,000 net, okay? So I knew at least how much it would cost last year. Number 2, I identified rental properties that I'd sell. Number 2, sold the rental property. Number 3, kept the money in savings. I didn't blow the money, right? So I'm just sharing what was that framework. I also needed to find contractors, get bids, do my due diligence on the contractor, different things like that, okay? So the cool thing is I want to share about mid-year review, right? I measure what you don't track. Andrea, can you read in English from the back row? I know you went to New York. All right, you speak New Yorkanese. Go ahead, Andrea. So thanks, Dominic.
It's better to have access to credit and not need it than to need it and not be able to get it.
Good. Okay, so this article was written in 2007, and it's so good that people forget. They're like, oh, we're not going to have a market correction. Our economy is never going to go down. That's total bullshit, right? You got to be prepared, right? So you need to have credit available for when you need it, or you also need to have extra reserves. Because during the downturn of the market of 2007 to 2011, everyone needed extra money. Like there was not one person's like, I got enough, I'm good to go. Like you needed cash, you needed credit. So this was a mortgage planner back in the day, okay? So number 1, when I do a mid-year review, like you guys are doing right now, I review my total assets, okay? So I go over everything that I have. All my stocks, my bonds, my mutual funds, my real estate portfolio. You guys might like, I don't have any of that. Yes, you do. You just got to start measuring what you have now. We all have something. The biggest asset you have is yourself. You guys want to write that down? The biggest asset you have is yourself. You need to invest in yourself, in your brain to learn how to get better. Like that's the biggest thing you need to learn how to do. And that could be for free. Watching YouTube videos, going to the library, renting a book. There's a lot of different stuff you guys all can do, especially living in America. We have access to a lot of stuff. Yeah, you bet. We can email you. No, yeah, we have a copy of it online on our website. We're happy to. Yeah, we'll email it to you tomorrow. You bet. So this is me personally, quarterly I review. You guys have never done this before. You just need to put all your assets minus your liabilities and review it twice a year. You could do it quarterly, but let's just say you haven't done it at all. Just do it twice a year. And if you haven't done it before, do it now, right? It's just a good way to track with where you're at right now, okay? Here's the second thing you want to track. How much are you earning on the assets, right? So if you guys remember the example, the economist who has a PhD, who's 65 years young, she identifies, man, way better with money 30, 40 years ago because I'm now 65 and I don't have as much as I would like, right? So here's a good equation. You should take last year's income. If you want to identify how much you need to be financially free, you guys can write this down. Take last year's income times 25, and that will floor of how much you need. Last year's income times 25, and that will give you a floor for how much you need. And here's why I'm calling it a floor. Most people want to live, well, actually, let's say this. Most of the time, we're living pretty well in the US. How about in Utah? How's that? I'll pick Utah. Most people, we have a car, we got food, you have air conditioning or a swamp cooler if you're Brian that lives in Kearns, okay? So that's a different upgraded stuff. But we can like turn, or we have fans. Thank goodness for fans. Woo, need fans. But in general, living in the US, we got a lot of good things going on. You guys agree? So if you take what your income was last year times 25, that will give you a floor of what you need to sustain the same lifestyle that you're living right now. Does that make sense? Like most of the time when people are like 65 or 70, they're not like, oh, I want to go hustle and make way more money than I did when I was 30 or 40 or 50. I've yet to meet someone that age that's like, I got to make more money in retirement than I did when I worked. And I'm like, we had 40 years to make that money and invest, okay? So the best way to do that is by, my opinion, is owning real estate. You put a little bit of money down and you let it grow and you can make a ton of money if you sit on it, okay? And we'll go over that a little bit more. That's where some really savvy financial planners have taught, multiple ones, and they just said like that's a benchmark because ideally you don't want to touch the principal. So now if you're like, well, I don't care to pass on an inheritance, no problem. But would you guys agree everyone is living way longer than they did 20 years ago? Like my wife's grandmother is 98. My grandma died when she was 96. Like people are just living a lot longer. Now, what's healthcare doing? Going up, right? Like it's going up. So it's just a good benchmark of a minimum amount. Great question. Okay. So this is called an asset analysis accountability worksheet, or also known as a balance sheet. I don't focus on what my net worth is. I focus on my assets and what I'm earning. So if you guys want to write that down, what are you earning on your assets? So like stocks, bonds, mutual fund, crypto could be one, real estate. There's a lot of different things, okay? Whole life insurance could be one. Lots of different things. Is what are you earning on that asset to generate revenue? So here's a cool formula that I've liked that I still think is important. We call it the 50-30-20 rule. Kristen made it up and we just had to find some slides for it, okay? So if you guys want to take a photo of this, or you guys watching this remotely, this gives you a basic idea of how you could monitor your monthly expenses, okay? So the first part is essential expenses. So essential expenses are like housing, utility, transportation, and food. You guys agree with that? Like those are not bare minimum, but you need those to like function all throughout the world, right? So 50% of that should go to those basic things. You can adjust it. Everyone's different, but that gives you at least a benchmark. Here's the second thing, lifestyle. So it's interesting. Financial is more important to me than lifestyle, but this just gives you a benchmark of what you guys can do for yourself. Financial goals, retirement contributions, savings account, paying down debt. Ideally, this is my personal opinion. The only debt I have every month is a bunch of mortgages. I got a lot of mortgage debt. I have car loans, but I choose to pay them out of my business. And then my credit card, I just pay it off every single month. So I don't have $30,000, $60,000 credit card. I've had them before when I was super lean, like flipping houses and have deferred maintenance before. But like personally, I just have a credit card that we buy Costco stuff, and that's about like whatever non-business stuff, okay? This is a good example for you guys too. I wish they taught this in high school. Yeah, I would teach this for free. I'd be like super entertaining. Okay, number 3, lifestyle stuff. So here's the difference. Tons of people, it's kind of like 50% over here and 50% over here. And like, we not really think about this until over here, right? So I think you need to modify that to sustain the life that you're living. Here's a cool exercise. Last week, I asked my team, both investment and mortgages. I said, if you had $100,000 just in your pocket or you got it, what would you do with the money? And everyone say, I'm sorry? Buy a duplex. Well, like everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna invest. I'm like, no, you're not. Like I called them all out. Then as they kind of thought about it, they're like, yeah. Then we all identified we need to increase our financial IQ, right? Like we want to say we're gonna invest, but realistically, like that's why not a lot of people are in real estate investors, right? They're just like, it's not for us. And if you guys take the time to learn, you guys can do it. But the cool thing is, everyone has 90 minutes a week that they can increase their financial IQ. Do you guys agree with that? That's not a lot of time. 90 a week times 4 is only 6 hours. 6 hours a month is not a lot of time. I don't care if you read about it when you're going to the bathroom, like whatever. Like you have the time to understand. I'm going to share 3 quick books that I think are really basic and really good. Number 1, The Millionaire Next Door is an excellent book that helps you teach how to be more frugal. The second one is Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If you've already read that book, listen to Cash Flow Quadrant, second book. Okay, but you got to do the first one first. The Millionaire Next Door, then Cash Flow Quadrant. And then I'm actually going to give you guys a Dave Ramsey book that I listened to 3 years ago. I like Dave Ramsey because he's entertaining, talking to Americans, which I find somewhat entertaining when I listen to him every once in a while. And I listen to him more for entertainment purposes because I have a weird sense of humor. But this book by him, which The Total Money Makeover. Yep. So one of my friends told me about the book, The Total Money Makeover. Thank you. And I'm like, why are you listening to that? And he said, I want to understand what normal Americans think like. I'm like, dude, that's a great reason. So I listened to the book. I'm like, oh, I understand why most people think the way they do. I'm not most people. That's why I'm sharing with you guys a higher way to, or a better way to grow wealth. But I think these are some good things. A couple other things I want to share real quick. Number 1, I don't encourage you to have more than one car payment per household at a time. Okay? I don't encourage you to have more than one car payment per household at a time. So easy equation. If you buy this is me. I like buying 1-year-old cars. Like the last 5 cars I bought, they're all 1-year-old. And I like BMWs, so I like nice cars. I've had 5 BMWs. But I buy them 1-year-old. I don't care if you're buying a Honda or a Kia. Just buy 1-year-old, drive it for 5 years. If you're in a relationship, let your spouse buy one that's 1-year-old, drive it and flip-flop. So when that car's paid off, then whatever one has more mileage, you drive the other one. So it's just like super lean. That works really well for me and a lot of other people. Here's the second thing. Everyone needs to have 6 months of living expenses and saved before you do any investing. 6 months of living expenses saved before you do any investments. You second that one. That's good.
I didn't do that.
Do you do it now? Okay, cool. Okay. And here's the third thing. You should go to like one paid event a quarter in Utah at least, even if it's like a couple $100, right? Go for a weekend, go learn from other people that you just stay really engaged with different investing, okay? That's to increase your financial IQ. So into budgeting or investing, how many of you guys actually have a spending plan? We need to change this to spending plan. Can we write that down? Who has a spending plan that they review monthly? Cool, half of you. Here's a question. How many of you guys virtually have a spending plan that you guys watch or look at monthly? If you guys can, I'm putting you guys more, just jump in if you have a spending plan. Type in hashtag say yes. There we go. Hashtag say yes. You have a spending plan. So here's the cool thing. Most of the time, people review their budgets just at the end of the year. So why not make your modification now so you can say, cool, what do I need to change? What do I need to improve? How can I earn more money? How can I decrease my expenses? What debts can I consolidate? What debts can I pay off? What debts can I choose not to incur, right? There's different ideas with this. So here's the goal or an action item. This is the spending plan / budget that I use myself. Every single month, my wife and I review this. It's free. It's on our website if you guys want to look it up. It's MJA Real Consulting. We'll email it to you also. But literally, I've had this since we got married in 2007. My wife has tracked our expenses. We go over it monthly since 2007. We know what the hell everything has cost us because we track it. It's important, right? Like, I'm a little smarter than the normal with finances. But here's the cool thing. It's not like I was taught this way. I just like, I want to have less. I want to have less than more. And I always want to have extra money. It's just how I am. You guys can do it too. It's just monitoring, measuring your money. If I did caloric intake like I did this, wow, I'd be super fit. That's a second half of the year goal, okay? Oh, but what's important with that, right? Next part, how to increase your disposable income. Here's what I mean by disposable income. Extra money that you're making with your current job or place, right? What are you doing to earn more money with your job? So here's my first question. Are you even doing everything you're supposed to at your job or career? Like, let's be honest. Some of us are self-employed. Some of us are employees. Like, how would you rate? Am I doing Tom Hopkins says, are you doing the most productive thing at every given moment? Okay. Like, I'm pretty productive at work. I could always get more productive. When I was in Europe in 2019, I was really productive. I didn't want to work 8 hours. I got a ton done in 6.5 hours. And I did tons of calls and conference calls, and we figured it out and we made stuff happen, right? But if you're that efficient all the time, you don't have to work as long. Or if you're that efficient while you're at work the 8 hours, how much better are you going to be, right? Like, there's different ways to look at that, okay? So what I'd like you guys to do, write down 3 things that you think you can do to earn more money with what you're currently doing right now. So there's a great exercise, right? I want you to write down 3 things that you think you can do to earn more money with your new or current job right now. So I'm going to have everyone jump on here. You got to write something down too. Got your pen? Yeah, we're waiting. Okay. And I'll give you a hint. If your supervisor thinks it's a good idea and supports you, it's more likely to happen. Is that fair? So, because they want to help you succeed, right? Ideally. If not, you got to find a different supervisor or a place to work. Or you got to self-reflect yourself. So write down 3 things that you think you can do so you can earn more money with what you're just currently doing right now. There's a gentleman named Keith Cunningham. He wrote a book called The Road Less Stupid. Keith Cunningham wrote a book called The Road Less Stupid. Keith Cunningham, hi Carolyn, I'm glad you're retired. Keith Cunningham was Rich Dad from Rich Dad Poor Dad. He was Robert Kiyosaki's buddy in the 90s, okay? So the Rich Dad principles are literally Keith Cunningham's principles. Keith Cunningham teaches at Tony Robbins events. He does a couple events on his own. His day rate is $70,000 a day to consult. He makes a ton of money. He lost $100 million in the late 90s, and he's earned it back more. Okay? So why I'm sharing that with you is he says there's 3 things you can do to earn more money. 1 is add more value. Whatever that is that you think, right? Add more value. Number 2, become an A player. And I'll have Dominic send you guys a video on A players tomorrow. Kristen will help out also, please. But what his definition of an A player is. And there's not a lot of A players that put forth the effort. But I think all of you guys, if you're self-aware, can become an A player in life, right? So number 1 is add more value. Number 2 is be an A player. And 3, you got to be ruthlessly committed to getting better. Right? So if you guys know people in high school that excelled, people in college that excelled, people in their careers that have excelled, like there's certain habits that people that excel in life, not just in work, right? Like, you know, people are like, man, those guys just really have their life together, whatever that looks like to you. And if you go back to the wheel of life that we talked about at the beginning, if you know someone, they're like, they just got a bunch of 8s and 9s and 10s in their life, like we just emulate or we like to like model ourselves like those individuals. Like there's a lot to learn by finding out what they do, what their habits are, things like that. Okay. So increasing your disposable income. So let's brainstorm real quick. Write down, I want you guys to share here of what you guys wrote down with what you think you can do to earn. And then where I've shared a bunch from the people on virtually, I'll share with what you guys said. So what's one thing you wrote down, Danny?
I wrote
Network.
side hustle stuff.
Good. Networking and side hustle. Andrew, what'd you write down? How about raise your hand if you want to share? Good. Cool. Go ahead. Senior Wenzel.
I put down exceed the income to increase the bonus, manage expenses to increase EBITDA, and then start consulting.
Awesome. Do you mind explaining what EBITDA is for not everyone that knows what EBITDA is?
Earnings before taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Okay, it's a funky way for you to really know how profitable your business is. Is that fair?
Yep.
Most people learn it in graduate school or when you're managing big accounts. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome. EBITDA. Dan, what do you want to share? What do you do to earn more money?
Meet more people so I can do more real estate deals.
You're going to meet more people so you can do more real estate deals? So here's kind of a joke. Are you going to go to the homeless shelter to go meet more people? No, but there's a difference, right? There's a ton of people that will chow with you at the homeless shelter, right? If I bring this drink up, I'm like, hey, this used to be green, but now it's red. Guess what's in it? That's kind of a joke, right? Like, what pill's more important? Is that Neo? Matrix? Is it blue? Oh, blue and red. All right. I thought it was green and red. So what type of people do you want to meet?
Investors, doctors, lawyers, accountants, anyone with a job that has money that would like to invest.
Okay, let's be a little more specific. So that's good. So you want to meet people that are already investing or probably individuals who make $250,000 a year or more. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Where would you ideally meet people that make $250,000 or more?
Any advice?
Well, I'm asking you, where would you meet them?
I talked to my chiropractor today. He makes more than $250,000 a year.
Awesome.
That's one example.
It's like, it's all adjusting, like crack. Hey doc, how much you get? Crack. Okay. It's like, quit asking me questions. We got like 3 minutes left.
He told me that he bought his cabin cash.
Awesome.
So I knew that
Is he in Provo?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So where would you guys meet people that make $250,000 a year? There's a lot of places. Chamber of Commerce. How about, depends on where you live?
Yeah.
I live in South Jordan. There's a lot of people that make household income of $250,000 a year.
Mhm.
Okay. You can pull permits. Whoever put a pool in probably is close to making $250,000 a year. Hey, we heard you put a pool in. Would you like to buy some real estate, right? Okay, yeah. Can you see your balance sheet, please? Right? Like, get out of here. Okay, good. Kristen, what's one thing you wrote down to me, please?
I put down, ask my supervisor how I can add more value to earn more income.
Asking my supervisor how I can add more value to earn more income. You think your supervisor is already giving you advice how to add more value to earn more income?
Yeah,
Good. So should we execute what our supervisor has shared first?
I am, yes.
You are? Good. I like that I am statement. But there's a difference, right? Think about that just in general. How often are you like saying, hey, are you actually doing what we discussed that you're supposed to do, right? Like sometimes we're like, oh, I don't really want to do it because it's hard. Is it hard to make phone calls? No, it's not. You like pick up the phone. Hi, right? Like that's a skill set you can develop. It's all mental. Most of these skills are mental things that we got to do. You know what's hard? Putting in a freaking pool. Those guys putting in the pool, that's hard work. Like they're sweaty, hard working. I'm like, I'm so happy to pay you a premium to the guy who I don't know anything but just pays these guys, right? So different things. What else can we do to earn more income? Brian, go ahead.
Identify the tasks that you get 80% of your income from and learn how to delegate the other 20%.
Ooh, I like that one. So here's what Brian said. Identify the tasks that earn you 80% of the income and delegate the rest. Is that right? Awesome. It's a great skill. Okay, go ahead.
I call it become a well hunter.
A well hunter?
So like in
What's
South,
a well hunter?
basically
Like
in
whale
South,
or well?
wells, like go after the big.
Oh, okay. I thought like a dig in a well. I'm like, oh, that's like,
Sorry.
that's interesting. I'm excited. You from Vernal? All right,
Yep.
well hunter.
So basically it's like delegate the smaller accounts to like my assistants
Yeah.
and just go after the big wells, because you get one well, your boat's full.
Yeah,
You catch a million minnows,
yeah,
you just got a bucket full of minnows.
yeah. What industry are you in?
I do industrial cells, racking, shelving,
Okay, cool.
storage systems.
Awesome. Great. Great. So here's the cool thing is you guys are all sharing socially too. I want to kind of transition. So if you think about it, you can't measure what you don't track. So let's go back what we've done. Literally, it's already been an hour. Is that cool? It's gone by fast, right? A lot of information. One, we've already identified what goals have we already accomplished this year, right? Because Brian, I love when he says this. What's your favorite thing you've learned from Tony Robbins UPW? We give him the microphone real quick so he can explain it. I forget what it's called every time. I just know if I ask Brian, he can explain it. So it's exactly this. Go ahead. Patterns of focus.
Patterns of focus. So there's 3 different patterns that all of us deal with in life.
Yep.
The first is you can focus on what you have or you don't have.
Guys, write this down. First pattern. You can focus on what you have or what you don't have. You got what you have or what you don't have. Okay, second one, please.
Pattern 2 is you can focus on what you can control or you cannot control.
Sean Christensen, are you going to focus on what you can control or what you can't control? Awesome. Go ahead. Last one.
And the third pattern is you can focus on the past, the present, or the future.
Awesome. So, Paul Pugmire, are you going to focus on the past, the present, or the future? So which ones do you prefer to focus on, Brian?
I prefer to focus on what I can control, what I already have, and the present or the future.
Good. So what he said, for those who couldn't hear because the fans, he focuses on what he can control, what he already has, and the present and the future. Is that fair? Like I've got some high school friends that are like always talking about how many girls they dated in high school. I'm like, guys, you guys are freaking married. Like, go get as excited as you are about your wife as your high school days, and you'll have an amazing marriage. They're not happily married, right? So it's important to take that into consideration. Awesome. So how to increase your disposable income. If you go talk to your supervisor to be grateful with what you have, what you can control, where you are now and where you want to go in the future, would that be a good approach? Yeah, absolutely, right? It's more of a gratitude approach. Different. So the next part, saving money. Kristen, I'm actually having you read this out loud, please. You have a great vernal voice.
Saving money is not the same as making money. Paying off debt is not the same as accumulating assets.
Say that one more time, please.
Saving money is not the same as making money. Paying off debt is not the same as accumulating assets.
Okay, that's big, right? Like that's a really thought-provoking comment. So here's why I like this from such a long time ago. There's 3 cycles of a person with money. One is most of us are spenders automatically. What we spend faster than what we earn. Okay, where it's like it comes in, it goes out. It comes in, it goes out. It's like it's already gone out before it even comes in. Okay, that's what it is. You've got to transition, and you can, going from a spender to a saver. And I personally think that's a 12 to 36 month process. Like you literally got to budget monthly, stick to a spending plan, be disciplined, know what it's like to have $5,000 in the bank or 10 grand in the bank or 50 grand in the bank or 100,000 in the bank or $1 million in the bank, whatever that dollar amount is, or $5. You got to start at least with $5. Okay. And then as you transition from a spender to a saver, then you can become an investor because you're fiscally responsible, that you're disciplined enough. You're like, I don't need to spend that extra money on this. I don't need to bring on that extra employee because we don't have the revenue in, right? Or I'm not going to go buy a bunch of new stuff, or I'm going to not upgrade or get season tickets again because revenue's down, whatever that is. The opposite is you're going to go figure out how you can make that lifestyle because you're disciplined. So what I want you guys to identify, honestly, do you identify it right now as a spender, a saver, an investor? I'm not going to have you raise your hands, but I want you to write down, are you literally, and don't say I'm kind of both. You're either one or the other, right? Either a spender, you're a saver, or you're an investor. All of you guys virtually, I want you to type in the Zoom chat bar if you're a spender, saver, and investor, because no one else is looking at your eyeballs, so you won't get embarrassed. So go ahead. Okay, so here's a good example. spender, saver, and investor. I want you to identify. Now, whatever you write down, I want you to write down. So if you're like, I'm a spender, but I want to become a saver, write down the reason why. If you're a saver and you want to become an investor, I want you to write down the reason why. Because what we're trying to do is help you identify different things to help you get progress in life for this free 2-hour class. Okay? I was seeing if you're sleeping. I like your glasses. I was like, she's falling asleep on me. I was like, gotta get my energy up, man. Gotta get my energy up. Jordan, been an investor in the past, but lately only been spending and saving. We recognize that our path to freedom, we got to get back in the game. Awesome. I want to become an investor because I'm getting started late in life and need to make up time. Cool. Meredith, to use that money to invest and make more money. Awesome. Okay, so good progress, okay? So here's the next part. Wow. What adjustments are you making here? Hashtag Beaver. So this property is on Beaver Street in West Valley, okay? I found it from a realtor. I bought it from her for $2,000 subject to the existing mortgage in 2009 as the market. So she had a rental property. She was negatively cash flowing. She didn't want to have a foreclosure. She didn't want to have a short sale because she was upside down. I got it from a property manager lead that he wanted to make $500. So I paid him $500 and I paid her $2,000 to walk away from the deal. Because he didn't know any better. Well, you're greedy. Yeah. No, you would want to buy it for $2,000. Yeah. You're like, oh, I want to buy this for $2,000. Okay, so guys, grab a calculator or your phone. So you guys that are watching this from home, here's a good example. So moving from an investor to a saver due to pricing real estate. Bruce, you can still be an investor. You just have to be a savvier one, right? So stay as an investor. You just have to modify your investment strategy. Okay, so I bought this property for $150,000. We're going to do simple math. $150,000 in 2010, I believe, years ago. I paid her and the other guy $2,500. Out of pocket for repairs, I'm probably another 10 grand. Okay, we'll just call it 12.5. Out of pocket $15,000 in 2010. I'm now going to list this house for $325,000. So take real estate commissions, et cetera, et cetera. Let's just say $300,000. I'll net $150,000 off the initial $15,000. That's 10x your money. Grant Cardone, baby. For $150,000, 2010. Is that good, Dan Ritchie? Now, here's a cool Dan Ritchie story. Dan Ritchie, I'm like still pissed about this. He bought an owner-occupied fourplex, and then a couple years later, he was light on cash. Amigos, it didn't tell me, and he sold it to his amigo and probably paid 80 grand maybe out of pocket for seller financing. And I think they bought it for like 265, maybe 300. Does that sound right? 300, and that sucker's probably worth like 550 to 600 now. So he put 100 grand into it, and now it's worth 200. It's worth $300,000 more now. And I'm mad because I'm like, dude, I would have bought that money. But it's like, oh, quit complaining. The amigo. I'm like, I'm not complaining. Like, I'll pay you 20,000 because I got the 120 that I could have put down, but he said no. And that guy, the amigo who bought it, had poor credit. I helped him buy like his first 7 rentals. His credit was below 500, and now he owns like 17 rental properties. He's focused on it, right? Focus goes, energy flows. Saved his money, got focused on his debts. The guy owns a painting company. He's killing it. So as we're halfway through, here's a cool example of this is what it looks like right now. Literally, we just got it cleaned in the last 3 days. Okay? So it's a good house that you could sell it as it is right now, right? Like tons of people move into this house to be happy to buy it for $325,000. So here's a cool exercise. I want you guys to write down the top 5 things that you would do to improve this property real quick. Okay, so everyone write down the top 5 things, because think about it. This class is called You Can't Measure What You Don't Track. You guys some examples of how you compare or analyze a portfolio so that you can say, well, this guy just talked about how rich he is. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how I've learned to analyze properties so I can have more assets. So I want you guys to write down the top 5 things that you would do, and then we're going to ask around to see what you guys would do to maximize your cash flow on the sell. Yeah, from what it currently is now, I'm going to sell it. Like literally, we're starting working on it right now. What you guys would, I know what I'm going to do. I want to know what you guys would do, and then I'll tell you what I'm doing. Yep, to list it, to maximize your profit. Beatrice, Jordan, Kathy, Maria. Let's see. Sean. What all of you guys are going to do? Oh, I got tons of panelists. Oh, dude, all these panelists. I forgot about them. Forgot about you guys. What's up, Caleb? West Valley. What's up, Jonathan Fuentes? What's up, Julie? What's up, Lisa? What's up, Melanie? What's up, Raj, Raquel, Sione, Sunny? Okay, so I want you guys to write down. So I'm going to tell you what I did, okay? Number 1, I'm covering the hardwood, okay? It costs $3 a square foot to finish. I'm not living in this house. It cost me a carpet in, putting brand new carpet in, calling it a day, okay? So I'm not going to live in it.
But if you did refinish it, would it bring up the value?
Not really. It's in West Valley. Not that West Valley is a bad area, but if it was on the east side in Mill Creek, I would refinish it. I'm going to just cover it with carpet. Okay? Yes. Well, I don't want to lie. I've already been sued 7 times, so I don't want to be deceitful.
That was my thing, was to refinish it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm looking at that going,
Yeah, but
that would be a turn off, but to your point.
yeah, I don't feel bad putting carpet because there's tons of houses that have carpet over some flooring. It could be OSB, right? Or it could be non-salvageable hardwood, right? But yeah, so number 1, I'm going to put new carpet. Number 2, I'm going to repaint the whole house, modern colors, not desert fawn, even though I've loved desert fawn for 15 years of my life, okay? Number 3, I'm going to put crown molding, and I'm going to touch up cabinets, crown molding on the kitchen. I'm going to move this cabinet up so you can put a microwave underneath so it doesn't like super small space. So it looks more custom. So you'd have like a raised cabinet there with crown. Does that make sense? Just little things like that make a difference in remodeling. So 1's carpet, 2's repaint, 3's update the kitchen. I'm not putting new countertops on because I don't want to. Okay. Number 4, I'm going to put new vinyl flooring in the bathroom because it's dated. And number 5, I'll get rid of this original like medicine cabinet. Just little stuff like that. Yeah, it's a wood burning stove. I'll leave it. I'll let someone else deal with it. Some people like wood burning stoves. They let their kids paint them in Kearns. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the stove and fridge. If I was gonna like do it like a flip remodel, I'd buy stainless steel, but there's a certain threshold that you can keep going and going and going. I know how much inventory there is right now for affordable housing. I'll easily be able to sell this. I can sell this as it is right now, right? But I want to provide a good project for someone else that they can go do their own thing. Last year I bought 2 houses for 2 team members, so I'm like, yeah, it's tight. Yep. Yeah, the question is, when you have a vacant house, do you add value by staging it? Yeah, I like to stage. Because you focus on what it is versus like, oh man, it's got this or that. Like, I like to stage houses. And I've staged more houses than not staged them. And I've sold 135 or 40 flips, and I've sold 15 of my rentals. So, yep, great question. So think about this, mid-year review, right? So what are we doing? This is a mid-year review of my portfolio, right? This is what you guys can do. What improvements should you do to your house? You guys want to write this down? What type of improvements should you do to your own house? And the house I'm talking about is your body, not your actual house that you live in. Like, literally think about it, right? Like, what improvements should you do? Should you eat better? Should you quit drinking alcohol? Maybe you should drink more alcohol. I don't know. Probably that's not a good one. But you guys get what I'm saying? Like, should you drink more green smoothies? Should you exercise more? Should you study more? See, your body is your own house, right? Or people call it a temple, depends on where you're at. So I think though, then you take into consideration like the house that you live in. What improvements can you do? Best atmosphere for you to grow. So I actually want Dominic to talk about this for like 5 minutes, because like a lot of people are like, I need to have more money. What would you do, right? So like, here's the example. Most people will be like, I need more money, or they're like, I don't know how to make more money. So this is an awesome exercise that Dominic's going to take about 10 minutes and explain what this process is if you needed more money to get going, because it works, okay? So you're good?
Yeah, let me take the mic from that.
Yeah, take that. Yes, sir.
This handheld mic here. So what this is a lot of people when they're starting out, obviously, when they're light on capital, and actually I would say even people that are not light on capital, one of the biggest things that we find right now that is, I would say, the biggest challenge is finding off-market properties, right? Raise your guys' hand if you guys agree if finding good deals right now is probably one of the biggest things that's going on right now. It's hard. So what this is let's go through this. So let's assume that you got $500 in your pocket, okay? And you are trying to determine, okay, what do I do with this $500? What we're saying is one of the first quick things that you can do as an investor, whether you're a wholesaler, whether you're buying rentals, whether you want to do fix and flips, is be good at making calls, or maybe have a spouse who's, if they're good at making calls, get on the phone and start calling, making phone calls for wholesalers. You can make them for wholesalers or even for yourself. And you're utilizing this $500 to be able to pay for a class for negotiating. Now when I met Matt, I already had a negotiating background. I had paid thousands and thousands of dollars for real estate classes. And in those classes, they taught me how to call and how to negotiate, what to look for. But when I met Matt, he had a KSL boot camp. We've got to do one of those again, Matt, for sure, to help teach people. But when I met Matt, Matt was like, hey, we had a discussion about finding more deals, because at the time I was down and I wasn't making enough money and I wasn't finding enough deals. He's like, have you been on KSL calling? I was like, I don't call them there as much. He's like, well, here's what I want you to do. I have a class coming up, but I want you to get on there and start calling people. So that's what I did. I got on there and started going through all the landlords, writing down all their names, all the for sale by owners, just like everybody else, but calling them diligently. So taking your first 500, learning how to negotiate with the class. The next is what you do is let's say you have a part-time job. You know, some of us make pretty good money already as it is, but let's say you're setting aside the money to do this. So your next 1,000, you're taking another class Like you might be able to take a class from us, one of our live events that we do or whatnot, or you take a prospecting class. And then what you're doing is you're finding a deal. Let's say you find your first deal. A lot of people, if you just give them, a lot of investors, like for us, if we get a name, we get a phone number, and we call on this property, if we buy the property, we'll pay a $500 bird dog fee. Actually, pay probably like $1,000 to $1,500, depending on where it's at right now in this market.
Just like the property manager as an example, he had no idea what to do, and I bought the property, I got a name and number.
Can you guys hear me on Zoom? If you want to just make sure if you can hear me. So looks like we're already at 16,000. So we're a little ahead on the, can you go back on your presentation? Go back to 1,000. Oh, I did? Let me go back. Sorry, my bad. I'm used to being over there. So anyway, so the $1,000, you made $500 from bird dogging, basically. You gave somebody a name and a number, an investor who can close the deal, right? So, and you might be going through a few of those before, but you're in a bird dog fee. So now you've earned a bird dog fee, you paid for a class, right? So now you're taking another class, and you can kind of see the theme here. You're building off of your strengths, because you could take a negotiating class on buying all cash. You could take a negotiating class on buying with lease options. You could take a negotiating class on buying what we call subject to, or other types of strategies. So there's multiple classes that you could take to be able to earn that. And then now you're taking these classes, and that's bird dogging 2 properties. So you got multiple properties, meaning you've talked to the seller or the landlord, they want to sell the property, and you're saying, hey, Dominic, here, Matt, or here, wholesaler, or here, a guy who knows how to close, here's some more deals. And now they're paying you $500 per lead. And now also you take it a step further. You're sending out leads to these people to close on your behalf, but you also learn how to be able to put the property under contract yourself, okay? So the next step is first bird dog, send numbers out to someone to call on. The second step is to learn how to be able to put it under contract yourself. So how many of you have ever here, or even in Zoom, how many of you guys put a property under contract yourself, that you've bought your own property, not even wholesale, but put something under contract? So we got a couple people here. So it looks like probably you guys have bought your own home. So the difference would be is you would put it under contract, and you'd be able to make it to where you can assign that contract to somebody else. So let's say, what was your name, ma'am? Kathy. So let's say Kathy's like, okay, I'm bird dogging on the side part-time. I'm calling on KSL. I find a couple different leads. I send them over to a couple people, and I got paid a bird dog fee. And now I'm actually going to go and put this property under contract myself and make it assignable for me to be able to assign my interest in buying this. So she goes and assigns it. So she makes $1,000 assignment fee. Now, as of right now in our market, you can make even more than that, and wholesalers are making more. But this is just kind of to illustrate the point. So we're going to keep progressing through here. So now, as you can see, bird dogging now making 4,000. You bird dogged 6 properties, $500 a piece, and you wholesaled another deal yourself at 1,000. And it on here, and then as you can see, again, bird dogging 6. Now you've done 2 wholesales, but instead you're making $2,500 a piece. Okay, and we'll keep going. Now these numbers are, again, these are lighter with our current market the way it is, because it's a seller's market. Wholesalers are getting more money for their leads, especially if it's a contract, it's put under contract, and it's ready to be bought. Now, if it's still a bird dog, bird doggers are going to have to wait for that person to call the seller, to close on it, be able to buy it, and then they'll pay them out later, right? So as you can see the progression here, so we're getting to 16,000. Now you're doing less bird dogs per property. you're doing more in wholesales and you're increasing your fee. And as you can see, you can continue to make more and more money with this. And before you know it, you have full-time income with part-time work on finding deals. And it literally, like these numbers, these are a little bit lower. There are people out there that are making a lot on assignment fees right now. And that, or if you're an agent, you're making double commission or multiple commissions because you're good at finding deals and stuff. In fact, we've got multiple properties that we found on KSL or listings, all because we had bird doggers bringing them to us. So just kind of give you an idea. And that is literally, I would say, the progression, right, Matt, on
Yeah, here's the purpose.
assignments.
I've turned it back on. Bruce and Melanie and Brian and Harmony and Raquel and Meredith and Sunny and Sione and Lisa and Julie and Jonathan and Sabrina and Jordan and Raphael and Sean, all turn your freaking cameras on. I'm looking at you guys right
All you
now.
guys are getting called
and all
out
I
here.
see is your names. Oh, there we go. So here's my comment with this. You guys will notice we're showing the progress, right? And we're showing little steps make big progress. We've made more than $256,000 in a year doing assignments.
Yep.
Doing this. Oh, look at all you guys. You guys all turned your cameras back on. Great job. Go to the next page so I can see them all.
And all of you that are on here, if you guys run across any opportunities where you want a bird dog and make similar money or more, reach out to us because we're always working with different people that are out there finding deals. And a lot of times, and I've even done this with Matt, where someone will bring us an opportunity, whether it's a bird dog or if it's under contract, and there might be some type of a way of making even more money on the property itself or project. So like with Matt, my first wholesale deal that I sent to him before I came to work with him, I had it under contract already, but he gave me some different pointers on what to go back and renegotiate. And so what I was able to do is go back and renegotiate and make even a better wholesale fee. He picked up the property, was able to turn it into a rental for clients, and yeah, the rest is history. So anyways, that's kind of the progression on bird dogging versus wholesaling.
Awesome. Thank you. So let me go back to this real quick. You guys want to write this down? Check this out. Like, this is legit. Like, anyone can do this. This is not hey, how do you wholesale properties? But it's tracking. Does that make sense? And the whole point we shared this is you take $500 and you actually developed a skill. Is that fair? And it's going to take time, but you can accelerate it quicker. And then you do one deal and you make $1,000, right? And then what are you doing? You're just focusing on getting better. And then you do 2 deals and you get $2,000. So what are you doing? You're basically getting better. You're learning how to find, right? If you guys understand, networking's huge. When we talked about Dan earlier, are you going to the homeless shelter to get your contacts, or you want to find qualified individuals that make $250K a year? Just different, right? Next. You're learning how to find deals, right? Like, that's a really good skill, regardless of what market you're in. Okay? Then you're actually then going to learn how to work with someone to how to move the property. Because finding the deal is one thing, but actually analyzing it, negotiating it, putting it under contract, doing your due diligence, making sure you're going to perform, that's just going to take a lot of at-bats, which is fine to do. Then after you do that, you go to 16,000, right? And then you do a couple more deals. Then you go to 32,000. And like, you can do this working part-time, probably spending 5 hours a week, just finding deals. I'm not saying driving around all over the place, using phone skills, developing that, chatting with people. But the point is, that's where you guys can start building up your assets on your asset analysis accountability worksheet, because you start increasing your funds, right? So the purpose of that is to show, yeah, you can make $250,000 in a year on the side. And that's more than what a lot of people make. With that being said, it's just a skill set with how to do real estate deals, okay? So if you think about it, here's what we've done. What's up, Rafael Chavez? So here's what we've done. What have you done to, like, maximizing your hard-earned money? That's relative. Because a lot of times people are inefficient with their money, and I'm going to show you guys some different things with what you can do, okay? So let's think about the past. Let's say your grandparents or my grandparents. My grandparents are no longer alive, but my grandpa worked at Kennecott forever. He was a union worker. He had a Social Security and a pension, right? and then they tried to pay off their house, and then they lived very frugally, right? Most of the people lived in the Great Depression. Their kids, they're byproducts of that. They might have served in World War II. Like they have a different upbringing, right? And a lot of people lived in their same house for a long, long time. Everyone knows about their grandma's house, right? Grandma's house is cute. The carpet's like 30 years old. Still orange, my grandma's carpet, but it's like super soft still. They just made really good quality, but they also really took care of stuff just differently. Okay, current generation. A lot of people change careers every 5 to 6 years, not let alone jobs, right? So they change careers. They're not planning on like financial freedom or retirement. I'm not planning on a social security, no SSI income para me, right? The average homeowner stays in their house 7 years. Some are a little more, some are a little less. You got a bunch of millennials who want to upgrade, downgrade, right? People get divorced, people get married, lifestyles changes. The average homeowner refinances every 4.2 years. Things change. Most of the time, they're pulling out money to pay off debt, and then they don't change their spending plan, and then 4 years later, they're pulling more money to pay off more debt, right? Where ideally, I'm pulling more money to go buy more assets. I literally pull money out of my portfolio, and I go buy more real estate like more properties. Okay. I cannot remember doing a cash out refinance to pay off debt since 2004. So every time I pull out money, I'm buying more assets. It's just how I choose to live, right? So how do the rich get richer? Or how do we transition from a saver to an investor? How's that? Okay. We're all going to assume today you guys are all savers. It's just a matter of choice. It's up to you. Like literally. One, you know how to leverage smaller down payments on homes because they want to leverage money. Number two, they keep their mortgage balances high because they understand they can use the extra cash to go buy more assets, right? Number three, they utilize their mortgage as a planning tool, not just I got a mortgage on my house, right? Like, hey, is it better for me to cash out, buy an investment property, cash out, sell my house, pay the tax, sell my house, upgrade, sell my house, downgrade? Like that's a big part of like your lifestyle. And then they reposition equity to buy more assets. So if you guys remember right at the beginning of the story, I was talking about a doctor with an econ major who has a PhD. This individual owns one rental free and clear, which is awesome for like $280,000, and the house for about $500,000, owes about $220,000. So they're considering. Here's 5 options if you guys want to write this down real quick, because this is what you could talk to your parents about, okay? Or just get for yourself. Number 1. They sell their rental and pay off their current mortgage, okay? So option 1, they sell the rental and pay off the current mortgage. That's the first option we discussed. Option 2, they sell the rental and they do a 1031 exchange to defer the tax, but they really don't want to be real estate investors because they're 65 years old, okay? So option 2, though, they sell the rental and they do a 1031 exchange. Option 3, they sell their primary residency and they move into the rental. So by selling their primary residency, if you live in a property 2 of the last 5 years, you don't pay capital gains tax based on the current laws. So this individual could take the money tax-free and go move into a new house or into their old rental. Option 4, they sell their primary residency and they sell their rental and they go rent for a year to go reevaluate where the real estate market's at. Option 5, they don't do anything and they'll end up probably doing a reverse mortgage because the person wants to retire sooner or later. So I just shared 5 options. Kristen, you write them all down? I know Brian did. Awesome. Which one of those 5 would you choose for your parents? There's the question. Which one of those 5 would you choose for your parents? So option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, or option 5. So everyone on virtual, I'm going to call them out again, and I'm going to have you guys raise your hand in here. Everyone, I want you guys to think option 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So let's see, we got Bruce, Raphael, Sean, Scott, Sonny, Julie, Harmony, Meredith, Melanie, Sabrina, Carolyn, Brian, Raquel, Sione, Lisa. Want to go to the next one? Boom. Jordan, Raj, Lisa, Jonathan Fuentes. Cool. So write down in the Zoom chat bar which one do you guys do. So if you guys are here, you guys would do option 1, raise your hand. No one? No option 1s. All right. Option 2, raise your hand. Okay, hold on, we got 3. We got 1, 2, 3. You scratching your head or you doing number 2? Yep. So don't pick 2 options, you only get 1. Okay, option 3. Who would do option 3? 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Option 4. Who would do option 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. No option 4s. We got a couple options 4s. Who would do? We got 5 option 4s. Good. Who's got option 5? Anyone got option 5? Yeah, that's what's going to probably happen if she doesn't do 1 through 4. Okay? So the point is you got to plan with the end in mind. Has anyone read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? One of the habits is you got to plan with the end in mind. Kristen, have you read that book? Dom, you read that book? Great book.
What if they did a different where they sold their primary and their investment? The investment they did a 1031 exchange. When they sell their primary, put less money down on the new primary to buy an additional property.
Hold on, yeah, I'll just repeat it. So Brian said, what if they did option 6? They sell their primary residency, take the money tax free, and then they buy a new investment property and they do a 1031 exchange and use the rental income. And buy a new primary. Sure. The cool thing is, you guys ever heard if you have too many options, it's like paralysis, analysis, paralysis? Rafael Chavez, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah, too many options. So I just gave her 5, and then I found out, here's the cool thing when you're negotiating. Which one of these 5 do you like the best? You guys want to write that down? Which one of these 5 do you like the best? It doesn't tell you that you have to make them pick one. And then if they say, I don't like any of them, then you say, which one of them do you prefer and what would you change? Which one of these would you prefer and what would you change? And they're going to give you a preference of which one they like, and then they're going to give you feedback of what they would change. And then as they give you feedback on what they would change, you're then making a modification of the option what they want. Right? So that's important. So I just gave you guys a bunch of ideas with what you guys can do, long-term planning, right? It's easy when you're like, oh, this one makes the most financial sense, but when it's your parents, it's a little different, right? Or it's yourself, a little different. Okay, so as we kind of go to the 4th quarter, I love the 4th quarter in sports. This is when it gets really fun, okay? Here's what I've done, and here's what I've learned from a lot of people, what you can do to increase your cash with what you already have. Number 1, buy better. So here's what this means. Just buying stuff in better. Buying real estate, contractors, laborers, materials, living expenses, everything. Like, be a bargain shopper. Doesn't mean you have to go to the DI on everything you buy, right? Or Kmart special. Do they even have, is Kmart even still around? Not here? All right, shit. No more Kmart specials. That's just ingrained in my brain, right? But it's just buying better, right? Just being a well-informed consumer will help you make a better decision. Just like when I shared, I like buying 1-year-old BMWs because I do my research. I know I could take a 25% reduction from a brand new one, and I'm fine that it's old. Like, yeah. My first BMW, I drove 197,000 miles. Like, I drove it a little too long that I was spending $5,000 a year in repairs, but I was just like, I love this car. Okay. Yeah, no, a little bit of trips to Vegas. Okay, so buy better. So here's what I want you guys to do. Identify real quick. No, I was flying to Vegas then. So I want you to identify real quick, what things can you buy better right now? So I just want you to identify, put pen to paper for you guys virtual here in the office, I know it's hot, it's almost over, but what things can you buy better just in general? Okay. I like buying 10 water heaters at a time if I can save $100 each, because literally in a year I'll use those water heaters, right? Like there's just, and when you need them, you're like, oh, now it's like double the price. Like there's just different things that you like to buy. Now I'm not buying 100 water heaters because I don't even own 100 houses, but if I could buy 10 and save $100 for each one, that's, you know, $1,000, and we normally use them within a year, right? Just giving you guys different things. Second thing, I like to buy things out of season. So poor Brian, him and his wife and their 2 kids, their air conditioner went out of the house, or their swamp cooler went out like 3 weeks ago, right? Give or take. And it was hot as hell. He's like, this is why I go to church. I don't want to live here now. Okay. It was super hot. So we're talking. He's like, it's super hot. I'm like, dude, what's up with your swamp cooler? He's like, it's out. I'm like, what's your bid? It's like $5,000 for the swamp. No, it's $3,000 for the furnace and $5,000 for the AC. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like a premium, but it's super hot, right? And I was like, crap, dude, if we would have replaced that, it'd been like $3,000, maybe $3,500. But hindsight. So I'm like, okay, when's the next time the swamp cooler guy's gonna come? They can't come till Friday. And I'm like, dude, it's freaking Monday. I'm like, it doesn't take that long to put a swamp cooler in. So we like help him out. We rearrange. We bought a swamp cooler. We have our guys go do it. We save him 30% less than what he done. Well, I think what was more important is he got it done 3 days earlier. So he doesn't have to like, I don't want his wife calling me saying, why is my house so hot, right? Like I already dealt with that buying his house. But the point is, if you plan and do those things out of season, you can get a way better deal, right? So if you have a furnace that's on its last leg, do it in October, right? Like do it when the contractors are not as busy. Putting a pool right now in is like the worst time for me to pay a premium, but it is what it is. But I'm well informed, okay? So number 1, buy better. So everyone should have written down stuff. Number 2, pay less interest, okay? Pay less interest. And we put these things in this order on purpose. Number 1, mortgage interest. Mortgage interest is still tax deductible. Thank goodness, right? But you still want to pay less interest on mortgage interest. Number 2, credit cards. I call my credit card companies every year in freaking December. It's like not the most interesting thing in the world, but it's definitely worth my time for an hour because I get to understand where things are at. On all 13 credit cards, none of them are business. They're all at the same bank, so it's way easier. I do it like on the 28th of December, like whatever days, like no one's doing stuff. How about the day everyone's spending money on stupid stuff? I'm like saving money on interest. I'll call all the credit cards. I'll ask them, can you please lower the rate on all my credit cards to a new introductory for 12 to 24 months? Yes, 50% of them say no. If they say no, no problem, right? Not a big deal. It's worth my time. Then I also ask them, will you raise my credit limits without repulling my credit? They ask me, how come? I'd like to have the cash available or the credit available if I need to, but it's not necessary. Yes, like 80% of the time, they all raise my limits. So I've got like $500,000 of credit card lines available that I probably have $40,000 at any time because I'm just remodeling houses. But you never know when you need it, right? That's the whole point. You never know when you need it, okay? Number 3, auto loans. I try to refinance my auto loan if I can save a couple points every couple years. But I don't shop it. I'm like, oh, I can save a point. I'm going to refinance it. I think it's more important to just keep my installment payments on time. So unless I'm going to save 2 or 3 points, I just don't deal with it. But if you have credit challenges, right, you might have a 620 FICO score and you need to raise your FICO. And 12 months later, you get to a 680 FICO score. You go from a 12% on a car loan to a 7% on a car loan, which I just literally talked to a lady about this a week and a half ago. I was like, holy cow, you're paying that much higher on a car loan? She's like, yeah. I'm like, make your payment for 12 months, then go refinance it. As examples of how to save more money, right?
When you say that though, when you say to refinance it, did you do it for what was remaining? Like you were saying, you did it for 5 years or whatever. And then do you, like if you paid it for 2 years, you owe 3 years left on it, do you refinance for that 3 years?
Yeah, great question.
For 5 years because, you know, yes, you're getting your interest down, but you're also getting your payment down if you go for a longer term if you're looking to
right.
back in at 3 years.
Right. So the question, so everyone can hear, is if I have 5 years on a loan and I've already paid it down 2 years, will I go back to a 5 years or will I refinance it on a 3 year? Is that right? It depends. Me personally, I like low payments. I don't like extending the 7-year car loans. I just think you got to pay for 7 years. You should probably buy something less expensive, just my opinion. But normally I care about lowering the payment and the interest. And as long as the payment is the same or less, because that's what I have budgeted every single month, I'm fine with doing that. But let's pick mortgage, right? So on investment properties, I'm normally extending my loans out, borrowing more money because I want cash flow. So I want cash flow right now because if I can refinance and save $300 a month on 87 rental properties, that's $27,000 a month in revenue times 12. That's a lot of money, right? So just giving you guys a different example. Why are you laughing, Dan?
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but it's just being fiscally responsible, right? Yeah, but it's the same thing as just buying one rental property, right? So the point is just understanding leverage, okay? So paying less interest. I don't love to pay more taxes than possible. Like Brian and I and a client and her CPA and 3 of my team members were on a call today for like 30 minutes. I'm not sure if he's listening to this call or not, but like we did a high level tax planning phone call. I was asking the CPA questions. I got a bunch of depends, not like the ones you wear, like depends on what the scenario is, right? Because I was really wondering why she was doing what she was doing. And it was good because we made modifications to help this guy refinance 4 properties. You jump around? You falling asleep? Yeah, jump around. I have a trampoline over there. Okay. So taxes. I think taxes are, no one wants to pay more in taxes than possible. Okay. Third part, lines of credit. I think you should get a line of credit on your house as soon as you can because you never know when you're going to need it, right? It's good to have available. So the first thing was buy better. Second was pay less interest. Is that good? Go ahead.
What are 3 things that you would recommend using a line of credit on your house for?
What are 3 things that I would recognize using a line of credit on my house for? 1, buying another house.
Like a second or another.
An investment property. Yeah. Let me talk about second homes real quick. I'll talk about second homes in a minute after I answer this question. 1, buying another investment property. Number 2, consolidating a bunch of consumer debt. Only if you're going to stick to a spending plan and the difference of the monthly savings, you apply that to your home equity line of credit. Okay. And the third one, my pool. Something that you're going to use for home improvements because a home equity line of credit is not tax deductible any longer unless you can show that the investment was utilized for your house. So that change, it sucks. But in 2008, when Obama changed some laws, home equity line of interest is no longer tax deductible unless you can document you use that money for home improvements. So like I would take the pay off my consumer debt and save $500 a month. Like I would make that trade to have a way lower payment to pay off my consumer debt in that scenario. So that's why I would say the pool is totally tax deductible because it's improved the property. Okay, great question. Ooh, second home. Let me go back. All right, here's what I think about second homes. I think I would rather take the monthly payment times 30% with all the deferred maintenance, and I would rather go travel and do short-term rentals to 5 or 6 different places in the world. And until I've gone to that place probably 5 times in like a 5-year period, so much that I'm like, I really love this place. I want to go there all the time. I just don't really like second homes. Because the deferred maintenance, like my dad has an awesome cabin and he's up there every weekend, like doing freaking cabin stuff. And it's not that he loves it. If I owned it, I would just pay someone to do it because I don't freaking like doing that stuff. Cabin maintenance. Yeah. Yep. No, he doesn't use it at Airbnb either. Yeah. So that's just him. Good question. All right. Tax. Okay. So my paying less tax, I like put that in a category. So number 1, Everyone should utilize a Roth IRA. Why are you staring at me? Good, you're a good smiler. Everyone should utilize a Roth IRA. You can take the money tax-free at retirement. Love it, right? Number two, I love 1031 exchanges. President Biden, regardless of what your political view is, he wants to get rid of them. That doesn't really benefit me. So one is a tax-deferred exchange for real estate investing that you can use funds into other real estate deals, okay? Number three, retirement accounts. Utilize their 401k or whatever's available, HSA, create one yourself, self-employed. Kristen, that's why you need to use your business bank account that you're going to go set up tomorrow. So as you get distributions, you're not going to pay a ton of tax like that realtor that we did a call for today, right? When you're selling real estate, if you don't want to do a 1031 exchange or you don't want to just pay the tax, like Rafael Chavez, his mom on here, you can do what's called an installment sale. You pay way less tax off the interest when you sell the property. It's just being familiar with what you can do. And the fifth one, which I think is the most important, is you should just do tax planning every year, right? Like you got to know where these numbers are if you want to create wealth. And if you don't want to create wealth, and this is your, hey, we came to a free class and learned some cool stuff, then no problem. You can go back to what you're doing, and that's totally okay. Okay, so here's a quick question. Of the three, which one do you think is more beneficial for you? So, of the three, which one, hi Raphael, which one do you think is more beneficial for you? And I want you guys to type in the Zoom chat bar, and then I'm going to ask everyone else here real quick. You scratching your head or you got a question?
I was going to say to save taxes, a huge tool that I've been using is the cost segregation.
Yes, cost seg studies. What time is it? Here's a 1 minute opinion on cost seg studies. A cost segregation study is a study that you can do that you use to go through a real estate property, and they will help what's called do bonus depreciation or accelerate your depreciation to help offset your taxes. What I don't love about that is a lot of people don't know they're going to have to pay that tax back in the future. They get all excited about how much money they save right then, and they totally forget. They're like, oh, I got to pay it back. They sell their property. They don't have the money, and they owe the IRS a bunch of stuff. So do I think it's a high-level tax strategy? Absolutely. Do I think normal investors that are not that savvy are overutilizing it? Absolutely. So you're probably a savvy investor. That's why you're doing it. I've just seen a lot of other people not be as successful with it. What's the question?
Whether to do expensive repairs like masonry before selling or not.
Well, anytime you sell a property, here's a good question that I would write down. One is, I like this one. I would ask the three most experienced realtors that you know to come assess your property and give you their opinion, what you can do to maximize your profit on the sale. So you're not making the improvements on your own. You're asking a qualified individual saying, hey, what feedback do you have to sell this property? Okay. So if they say, yeah, you should make the masonry repairs, then you make them. If they say the masonry repairs are not going to do anything, don't worry about them. If you call a brick mason to do it, what are they going to say? You got to fix everything, right? So that's why I'm giving you an example of finding the most qualified individual to do that, okay? So higher level. So if you think about this, all of you guys are here. I'm going to consider you all higher level, which is awesome. Now it's just time to implement being the higher level. So number one, make what you own better. The one thing you can make better is yourself, right? Like as I end tonight, which I love is this like mid-year review. I think everyone should study 30 minutes every day. Like books, audibles, something besides the scriptures. Okay. Like I'm saying is like they're just sharing 30 minutes a day of just like development books. And I think it should be about relationships, his needs, her needs, 5 love languages, loving what is, are excellent relationship books. I think everyone should understand how to think better. There's a book, Mindset, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich are excellent staples, right? Like everyone should listen to those books. Parenting books, the 5 love languages for kids, The Wealthy Gardener, Emotional Intelligence. There's a lot of books about how to raise your EO, emotional intelligence, as a parent. Okay. Number 2, I think everyone should meditate for 10 minutes a day to calm your mind. And a long prayer that you're having a rough day doesn't count, in my opinion. Like just sitting and literally like focusing on just like breathing and just managing yourself. There's a guy named Eckhart Tolle. Has anyone heard of Eckhart Tolle? Raise your hand, couple people. So there's Eckhart Tolle. Anyone virtually? You guys heard of Eckhart Tolle? Scott Brady, Sean Christensen, Rafael Chavez, Sonny O'Brien, Meredith Davis, Eckhart Tolle. Julie's definitely heard of Eckhart Tolle. All right, so Eckhart Tolle was one of the speakers at Tony Robbins' spiritual event, and he said he was talking to he's like this little Yoda guy. It's a really interesting character. Okay, and very thought provoking. He said Tony Robbins. He's like, you're into doing and yourself, and you're familiar with being. I'm paraphrasing this. He's like, I'm in the being, and I'm self-aware of doing. Right, like just being present for yourself makes a big difference to calm yourself. There's another guy named Sadhguru. If you guys ever heard of Sadhguru, he's freaking super smart Indian guy, thought provoking. Kristen, will you write down the Tony Robbins Sadhguru video tomorrow that they did published? But he just talks about like suffering, like it's kind of warm in here, right? Relatively speaking, depending on where you are in the world. But other people would love it to be this warm or this cool, right? So it's all relative to like what we think about what our circumstances are. And as I like think about this, is like studying every day, meditate, and the other thing is like a gratitude journal. Like just write down 3 things you're grateful for every day when you wake up in the morning. You'll be surprised of like, wow, my life is way better than I think it is. Right? Just like some basic fundamental stuff. Okay. Number 2, earning more interest. Leveraging your house or your assets is the best way to separate the wealth gap. I'm going to be honest. I'm very fortunate. I'm not worried about the wealth gap for me because I'm like on the rise up, right? All of you guys are on the rise up. You just have to take the time to learn, right? So you got to study, take the time, and raise your IQ. Last one, major planning. My mission president said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Like, I don't know why I remember. Major planning of whatever you want to create in your life. Life happens for us, not to us. And as we like review how we can do things better, like here's the whole point of this afternoon. I want you guys to write down your top 3 takeaways as we wrap up, because I want you guys to implement something in the next week, right? Like the whole point of coming virtually. I got people from the East Coast. What's up, Julie? Her back's like, I'm just excited because Matt's talking, right? Like there's just people all throughout the United States, and there's people here in Utah. But I want you to like things. What are your top 3 things that you've learned, but what you're going to implement? So I'm going to let it be quiet for a minute. Okay? Just everyone write down stuff and I'll be quiet. We'll do another 30 seconds. Awesome. So what I want you to do is what you've learned and now write down like an example of, why don't you share something that you learned and I'll give you an example how to implement something. Go ahead. Kristen, what did you learn? What's one thing you learned real quick?
I learned.
Can you hold the microphone real quick?
sorry.
Yeah, thanks. I know you love.
One thing I learned, well, not learned, but refocus is remember what you've accomplished so far.
Okay.
At a mid-year review, it's important to celebrate your success and then remotivate yourself to finish out the rest of the year. So that was a good reminder for me. And then one thing I'm going to implement is opening up a Roth IRA and a 401k non-negotiable by the end of the week.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sorry.
Non-negotiable
Wait,
by the end of the
Wait,
week.
hold on. You guys hear this? So all of you guys can't hear this. Here's what's awesome. So Kristen said it was very beneficial for her to reflect on what she has accomplished this year. Is that right? So I think a lot of times we focus on what we don't have versus what we have. That's why I asked Brian, what's your favorite thing from Tony Robbins? He spits it out. And I'm like, yep, that's it, right? Okay. The second thing is date. So by the end of which week?
This week.
This week. What day is this week? Yeah.
What day is this week?
What day of the week this week will you do? We have it done by?
By the 9th.
By
Is
the
that
9th.
the 9th or the 10th? Whatever day Friday
Whoa,
is.
now you're changing.
Whatever day Friday is. I don't know. Let me
Friday,
look. Hold
good.
on, hold on.
Friday, by the end of the day?
Yeah.
Okay, who's gonna help? Who do you need to contact to set this up?
You will do it for me.
I'm not your financial planning guy.
No, you'll keep me in line. I know who to talk to. You just need
Who do you
to
have to talk to?
remind me. My financial planner.
Who's your planner?
My bank.
Your bank.
Mhm.
Would you be open to someone better than your bank?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. See, we're qualifying, right? Lowell Crab. Lowell. All of you guys can Google them if you like. Lowell, Lowell Crab. Links Consulting. Lowell Crab, Links Consulting here in Utah. If you call him tomorrow or the next day, if you talk to one of his colleagues, say, I went to a class that Matt Atkinson taught, and he said I could call you to help me get set up. Is that fair? I think it's 801-836-99. But now I don't have memorized like Jeff's. Is it? Do you just look it up? All right, cool. Can't give you everything. You got to do a little work yourself. Okay, awesome. So I appreciate everyone on here. Let's see real quick, and I'll share with you guys. One thing I like about Zoom, you get to see people's names if it's really their name. So thank you, Julie. Thank you for Harmony. Thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Raquel. Thanks, Sione. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Jonathan Fuentes. Thanks, Jordan Hanks. Thanks, Raj Valeri. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Thanks, Scott Brady. Thanks, Sean Christensen. Thanks, Raphael. Thanks, Sonny. And thanks, Bruce, Warren, and all of you guys else. Thank you guys all that are here. Go over what? Oh, go over 2 slides. Thanks for the reminder. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Because you showed up to the call in the next week, we would like to offer something with you just to do a 90-day review with where you're at. Dominic, we will have someone call you tomorrow to schedule with you. And I just want these, if you'd like to I'd like it done by next Wednesday. Okay. So if you guys, wherever you live, you've already talked to them in the last week, we'll do this because this is really important to like mid-year review where you're at with stuff. If you've never done this before, you're like, I'm overwhelmed. That's really good. That's the whole point of the call, right? Is to do a review of where you're at. The last thing I want to share is we are doing a bus tour in 2021. We'll ride a bus that can only fit 56 people. We already have 20 people that have registered for it. It's going to be on Saturday, October 16th. I think I'm done with baseball. So if you guys are interested in like, hey, we want to understand what Matt's doing with real estate. We postponed it last year due to COVID. We're doing it this year because a lot of people have asked for it. So it's a great way for you guys to have a last seminar for us to learn from us. Yeah, you can. Yep. And they can only have so many people on a bus. So it's not like I'm not going to rent 2 buses. But I have been on a bus tour. They've had 7 buses before. But we paid like $2,000 each. So happy to rent another bus if you guys want, but I'd rather just have 1 bus. So thank you very much, everyone virtual. Thank you, everyone much here. We're going to wrap up so it's not so hot. Hope you guys have a great summer for July. and we'll talk to you guys all later. Thank you very much.